What skills, regardless of what type of programmer you are important and will give you a ton of leverage in your career, multiplying your productivity, results, and the quality of everything that you do. In this video, we're going to cover the top 5 skills for programmers that too many people overlook as they're focused on the latest trendy language or framework. But the truth is, you're really going to have a bad time if you overlook any one of these. Now, the structure of this video, we'll go through each of the skills one by one. We'll talk about why each is important, and I'll give you some specific examples from my 4-year career as a developer or otherwise. If you're new here, I'm Aaron Jack. I went from broke English teacher to San Francisco software developer, and I left that $200K job behind for my freedom to become a freelance developer. I'm also the founder of Freemo, the freelance developer bootcamp, which takes you from zero to profitable freelance developer. Okay, now for the first skill of 5, which is keyboard mastery. What does keyboard mastery mean? Well, it means 3 different things. The most important part is getting down touch typing. That is typing on your keyboard without needing to look at it. For the longest time, I actually thought everyone could do this, but then I realized I just played a lot of World of Warcraft when I was a kid. This might seem like a small thing, but it's really not. All those milliseconds where you're looking down, looking back up, looking back down, is costing you a fortune of time in the long term. These little delays are limiting the bandwidth between your brain and what you can put on the screen, so you're creating a limitation or bottleneck for yourself by not transferring these ideas faster. If you can't do touch typing, you should really learn how to do it today. Once you've got that down, the next part of keyboard mastery is learning shortcuts, whether in your code editor or on your operating system. It's actually true that how fast you can type doesn't matter as much as how fast you can navigate. Knowing just one small shortcut like Command-Tab to switch programs on Mac or Alt-Tab on Windows can save you hundreds and hundreds of hours over your career. Within a code editor like VS Code, this can be Command-P to open a different file rather than looking in the file browser, Command-Arrow to go to the end of the line, Command-Backspace to delete the whole line. You get the idea. And here's a little bonus trick to navigate around your editor faster. You can decrease the key repeat delay and increase the key repeat speed to maximum. And once you have the touch typing and the shortcuts down, you can then focus on your raw typing speed, which you can always make faster. And it's pretty obvious this is also going to speed things up, whether you're writing code comments or entire docs, which unfortunately is a part of being a software engineer. With all this together, we could say that typing speed is the constant, shortcuts are the multiplier, and touch typing is like an exponent going from 1 to 2. Okay, skill number 2 is debugging. Debugging sounds boring, like it's not as important as sexy topics like system design, code syntax. But to me that's kind of crazy because it's so damn important. As someone who talks with relatively new programmers every single day, you would be shocked how many people say it doesn't work and I don't know why. To which I just say, did you try printing out the value? And the response is then, oh, I'll try that. When in doubt, print it out. Print the values inside of a loop, a value before and after a function. Just print everything. This is a simple and effective form of debugging. Adding some additional tweaks to your debugging workflow on top of this can have major implications for your productivity too. I'll use myself as an example here, things I should have been doing for months and years before I actually started doing them. Let's say I was having issues with CSS on the front end. Now, for the longest time, I was just randomly changing things until something magically worked. In other words, taking the brute force approach, but what I really should have been doing from the beginning was looking in the Chrome console and going to both the style and the computed tabs. You can see not only which styles are being applied, but also what specific file and what place in that file they're coming from. It was the same with network requests and JavaScript. I'd write a bunch of error handling code just to print out my error response and body, but that information is right in the network tab if you just click on the request. For back-end debugging, I was absolutely terrible. I would just put print statements everywhere, recompile, rerun over and over and over again. What I should have been doing was just use built-in debuggers to step through each line one at a time, and you can see the values of all the variables. Python, for example, has PDB, the Python debugger. You just import it and you can step through. You also have IDEs with built-in debugger interfaces that are really nice, like Golang, PyCharm, and so forth. When I started using these to write production Go code, my life changed forever. Skill number 3 is skimming through text. It sounds cliche, but the internet really is your second brain. You need to learn new syntax constantly, parse through articles for the most important info, read docs and forums to solve issues, and get specific code snippets. 99% of what's out there is just noise, and you have to be able to filter through it fast. I would even say that you don't have to remember anything when you get good at this. Yes, anything. Like a hash table, you just have the key or the search term in your head, and you can retrieve the value from Google. For example, I'm not ashamed to admit that I've been writing HTML for over 4 years, and I still Google input element every time I create one. Even though I'm 99.9% sure how to do it, I just like to be 100%. So it's applicable for you. Here's some specific examples or skimming tricks. In W3 schools, Mozilla, or any other type of docs, if you more or less know what the code does but forget how to write it, you can skip the description or top section and just skip down to the exact example you need. The way I search through Stack Overflow is by always skipping the answer, going straight down to the questions, and not being afraid to hit the back button, because likely there's another thread that might be more pertinent to what I need. Maybe this one's obvious, but just Control F on every page rather than scrolling down to search for a specific term. You can try a few in rapid succession if you're not exactly sure what you're looking for, or what I like to call a close proximity term. For example, in the jQuery docs, you might forget what the toggle method is called. It adds and then removes a class depending on the state of that element. You know add class is a similar method, so you can just search for add class, and then you know that'll bring you at least near toggle. Okay, skill number 4, time optimization. What is it that separates a 1x developer from a 10x developer from a 1000x developer like John Carmack, Notch, or Satoshi Nakamoto? In other words, what drives developer productivity to be such intense different orders of magnitude? Well, it's by focusing your limited time in a day on where you have the most leverage through micro and macro time optimizations and ruthless elimination. You have to ask yourself continuously at short intervals, is what I'm doing right now the highest leverage activity? New developers get tripped up so much on small details, creating unnecessary functions, classes, and abstractions, and going down the rabbit hole on things that don't even make a difference. They say with creative writing to write drunk and edit sober. I say code drunk. Or rather, code like you're drunk, get it working, and then clean it up later. Here are some specific time optimization tricks. Time boxing. Set a fixed amount of time to work on something, for example, 30 minutes, which does a couple things. You won't get stuck trying to center a div all day, and it motivates you to find a good enough solution that you can optimize if you have extra time. What really helps with this too is tuning out all distractions. If I'm with someone and I hear their phone vibrating on the table with notifications popping up, I just know they don't get much done. All my notifications on my phone are off. I check them when I choose to check them. Next, and this is obvious, if it makes sense, reuse code. That could be a library, a snippet from CodePen, or so on. Just don't reinvent the wheel. And lastly, get help when necessary. A minute of your mentor's time could actually save you hours of being stuck. But this is a double-edged sword. You have to use your judgment not to waste your time or prematurely do this, or you don't actually learn as much. Okay, last skill number 5. Foresight. Foresight, if you don't know, means seeing into the future, predicting the best and the worst case scenarios. There's something called the happy path in the development world. This is the way your app would work if your users were perfect angels. They use the same browser, screen size, and operating system as you, clicking only on the exact things you want in the right order with the right inputs. Now, this is of course not how things are in reality. You have to be able to predict all the paths, not just the happy path. Users doing the most terrible things imaginable to your dear app. Having this foresight allows you to write what we call robust apps, impenetrable castles that can handle any error and even the most hideous browser. This foresight can also mean creating an admin dashboard or impersonation feature before you need it to provide ongoing support for your users. You also have to be able to predict how long your own deadlines will take, because your team members, your clients, and your manager will all be counting on you. Of course, you want to be realistic, but you also want to be optimistic while factoring in for those unknowns and those unknown, because things will pop up that you can't yet imagine. Of course, a lot of this foresight comes with experience, but that doesn't mean you can't start thinking 2 steps ahead. And lastly, for foresight, you need it for your own career as a developer. You have to base your learning and career path on not only what's popular now, but what's probably going to be popular in the next 5 to 10 years. Now, I don't want to brag, but back when everyone was saying, is it React, is it Angular, is it Vue, the framework wars, this is crazy, I was saying React. Just go React 100%, and I was actually right. Now, my prediction is, since the economy is getting more globalized, things are shifting towards decentralized labor, the best equipped developers are going to have freelancing capabilities, and my recommendation for freelance is to learn e-commerce development. Anyway, to make these predictions on what's going to be popular in the future, you can use a heuristic called the Lindy effect. The Lindy effect states that if something's been around for X years, it's likely to be around for X more years. on average. So the longer it's been around, the longer it will probably stay. That's why the most trendy things tend to come and go really quickly, and things that stand the test of time are likely to continue doing so. Anyway, that is all 5 skills. I've seen other videos like this one, but I wanted to make mine the most engaging and actionable, rather than just a feel-good video. So if you appreciate that, consider sticking around with me, and don't forget to check out Freemote if you're serious about becoming a freelance developer. Anyway, I'll catch you soon.